Hey guys, how are you? And welcome back to my channel. Today is the 6th day of the Natasha Denona week and tomorrow is gonna be my last. On today's video, I wanted to show you, and this is gonna be actually going out today because I thought I had my 7 videos, but I didn't. So this was one of the ideas that I had, and I wanted to do a rating or ranking my Natasha Denona palettes. I don't have them all, but I have a ton of them. I have a lot of them and I truly love them. If you guys wanna see which one is my favorite, but deciding with me. So I'm gonna grab them randomly and ask myself, do I prefer this one over this one? If I had to only keep one, which one would I keep? Until I tell you my top favorite. So if you wanna see my ranking of the Natasha Denona palettes, doing it in front of the camera, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna start with these two. I don't know why this one makes this sound. This is the Safari one. Well, I stopped doing it. Okay, so the Safari one, you're not gonna see right now my palettes in full because a lot of the shadows are on my Frankie Natasha Denona palette. So you see that 3 of the shadows are missing from the Safari palette. So this one versus the green brown one. And they have things that are different. This one has way more eyeshadows. This one has metallics and different formulas, while the Safari one, it's all matte. But this one has a lot of greens. And the thing is that when I purchased this, I don't know, I thought I was gonna be more playful with color, but green is one of my least favorite colors to use on my eyes. So I can use it and I can find it to be lovely on the eyes, but I don't feel so comfortable going out on green shadow unless it's an olive green. It's just something that maybe I will just get over it, but right now, and it has been like that for a while, right now I'm not that crazy about green eyeshadows or purple eyeshadows. Those are not my favorite, those are not my go-to. So if I had to choose between the two, even though this one has a lot of browns, I think I would go with the Safari palette because I love the colors of this palette. This is a palette that has oranges and I adore oranges. All the shades here are beautiful except for Fata Morgana, and I know the brights or colors like blues and stuff, they are not my favorite, but then all of these shadows I would use on a daily basis. So if I had to choose one of these two, it would be the Safari. Now let's just put the Safari versus the Tropic palette. And this palette, it's beautiful. It's just lovely. And they have a mini size now with the last row of the palette, which are the pops of color. But this palette is just stunning. I love all the mattes and the light shades, but sort of mostly transition shades that it comes with. And the pops of color are cool when you want to use them. They are hard to work with, a few of them, but this one is just beautiful. The Mint Frost one, the one in the corner, and then all of these shades I would use on a daily basis. So yeah, I would keep all of them because all my Natasha Denona shadows I'm gonna keep until they go bad. But if I had to put this one to compete with the Safari, this one would be more realistic for me to keep than the Safari one because it has metallics and the mattes are my everyday mattes, even way more than the Safari one. This one goes on top of the Safari and the Safari goes on top of the green brown. Now I have here the Joya palette, and this was a limited edition one. And it's a 5-pan palette. This is one of my favorite shades that is on my Frankie Natasha Denona palette. It's broken. And it has this beautiful shade that I would use every day. This one is harder to work with, but it's good. Then this yellow gold is not my favorite because it performs beautifully, but I don't love that yellow of a gold. And then this one is also stunning, but the overall palette, even though I like a lot of the shades of it, it's a 5-pan palette and it wouldn't compete with my Tropic palette, my Safari palette, or my green brown palette. So this would be the last from all of them. This one, on the other hand, this is the AERIS palette and it's missing the beautiful ice blue. I love this one so much. I just find it to be beautiful. And this one, even though it wouldn't be on top of Tropic because I love the shades so much, this is a palette that I could use a ton. I think I would put this one underneath Tropic but on top of Safari. I think it's just a palette that would be an everyday palette, and This shade right here, the nude shade, that comes also in the cranberry palette that you will see next. This shade is basically one of my favorite shades from Natasha Denona. It's just, oh, this is so beautiful. I'm gonna just show you guys. So this is how the nude shade looks like. It's just, and on the eyes, it's the perfect bridal shade. This one is almost broken. You can see it's looking really rough. But I have the one on the cranberry palette. I just need to pan this one up because it's a shade that's gonna die soon because it's drying out. But this palette is beautiful. So that's gonna go underneath the Tropic palette, but on top of Safari. Then with the cranberry palette, this is my favorite 5-pan palette that I own so far, of the 3 that I own. And this is another holiday one, but they made it permanent, and I use this for a ton of looks. I even have a 3-in-1 makeup tutorial using this palette, and when I was using it, I didn't even need to use anything else. I just adore it. It has another wine reddish shade, another cranberry shade, and it also has nude, which is the shade that I just showed you. And they are both on my palette, my Frankie palette, but this is a beautiful palette. And this color right here, it might need to go in my Frankie palette because I just can't take it. It's a duochrome with pink and orange. And that basically calls my name. So that, it's gonna go on top of Tropic. And it's so far my favorite from the ones that I showed you. Now for the Sunset palette, and I have the original one with the beautiful formula that everyone said that they came up with another one and it wasn't the same formula. I have the original one and the formula is beautiful. It has a few shades that I adore, but guys, this is a palette that even though I had it before having all of the other Natasha Denona palettes, I wasn't reaching out to use it. So I love the concept of it, but I always find that it has transition shades missing. And for me, for my personal taste and use, transition shades are important. And I have now a lot of transitions in the other Natasha Denona palettes, but that's not what we're talking about. So I could use any of the other palettes, the other transitions, just to play with this one more. And that's what I've been doing. But if I have to just rank it, this would be underneath the Tropic, on top of Joya for sure, but underneath Tropic. And now, on the other hand, when it comes to the Sunrise, which is the latest addition to the Natasha Denona family in general, now they're coming up today, I think, with the coral, and that one I wanted so bad. Maybe I will use another of my items to purchase that, but you will see in the future if I decide. I always want to wait on it and see if I truly want it and get it. But the truth is, I use my Natasha Denona shadows. So I know it's not going to be a waste of my money, because ABH and Natasha Denona are the shadows that I use the most. So this palette, on the other hand, these, even though it comes with this purple that I know I will not use, even though I used it on the tutorial that I posted on the Sunrise 3-in-1 makeup looks, it's not a color that I go to. Maybe I will use it as a pop on the inner corner. The rest of the eyeshadows on this palette I would use on a daily basis. They are my shades. I love them. I adore them. The transitions are beautiful. The highlights are insane. I love these brownish, copperish shade. I love, they are not here, but the mattes are stunning. The orangey and the pinky ones that are metallic are beautiful. I'm in love with this palette. The yellows are amazing. It's a little bit more powdery, but right now this is gonna be on top. It's not because it's new, it's just the color story calls my name, and it's just a color story that I could use every day, all day, and I would be just extremely happy with it. Even though it has a formula of metallics that's not rude or harsh, it's just the reddish tones are just perfect for me. I'm gonna show you one red right here. This one, which is Phlox, it has like a hint of orange to it when you blend it. I don't know, it's just, oh my goodness, it's so perfect for me. So this is gonna go on top of the cranberry palette. So this is getting harder and harder because I only have 2 palettes left and my dog is biting my hair. No, So this is the gold palette, and I truly love this one. I love the textures of it. I love the way it performs. I love that it has 3 transition shades that are brownie that I have on my Frankie palette. I only left 1 in here. I love the different golds. The textures of the shadows are beautiful. The metallics, they all perform beautifully. The toppers, this one for example, oh, they are so expensive looking. They truly are. You put that one on top of any other shadow, it has sort of a clear base to it. It makes everything better. So I love this one more than the sunrise because of the textures, but the colors, the sunrise wins for sure. If I have to choose one, they are basically, oh my goodness, this is so hard. But I think the sunrise would be a more realistic palette. You guys, you always hear me talking about how I love oranges and pinkies, and the sunrise is more of that. It has way more of that than the gold one, even though I adore the gold one. It's just, for me, it's a no-brainer. If I have to pick 3 palettes from Natasha Denona, it's gonna be my top 3, and I know what they are. But this is so stunning. This is definitely a palette that I would repurchase if I lost it. It's just that beautiful, and it amazed me. This was the eyeshadow palette that opened my eyes more to the Natasha Denona shadows that I already had, for me to play more with them, to just enjoy them more. And after this one, I bought the Safari and the Tropic. This is a palette that just changed the game for me when it came to Natasha Denona. It blew my mind. It truly did. So this has way more texture than the sunrise, but I prefer the sunrise for the color scheme. So they're both basically the same, but I know I will reach for the sunrise more on a daily basis. And for a look, a dramatic look, you can go to my Instagram. It's Jordana Vargas F. You can go there and you can see that on a class that I did, or maybe it's on my Instagram for my makeup. It's Jordana's Makeup. You can see there that I went to a class and I was wearing the gold one, and it looks so beautiful and dramatic. So that the gold one would be for going out, and the sunrise would be an everyday palette for me. And then last but not least is the Viva palette. And these, every time I say that if I lost my entire collection I would repurchase this, I'm not lying. This would be, I think, the first eyeshadow palette that I would repurchase, because it's a daily eyeshadow palette for me, as well as the sunrise. The sunrise is a daily eyeshadow palette for me. This is just a more neutral eyeshadow palette in the sense that the colors are all everyday, but I could do pops of color on every day with the color scheme of the sunrise. So I think that even though I thought this would be the top, this would be actually underneath sunrise. And then if I truly think about it, it's taking me a while to decide if this would go underneath gold. So I think if I'm thinking about it too much, it means that it needs to go underneath gold. I still think this would be the one that I would repurchase first, because it's just a palette that has everything you need as a start out on your makeup kit. If you're a person that will do everyday types of looks, this is the palette for you. And it's a palette for me because I'm that type of person. I do more pinky, reddish, and orangey shades, and then the textures, no. So this is gonna take the second place, because the gold one has a lot of textures but also has greens that I would use only when going out, and I would use the Viva way more, so that makes it a top favorite. But you can see that the 3 favorites that I have are undeniably my favorites. I can't just move them around, but they will still be top 3. None of them would go underneath, because I wasn't just thinking about the latest palette. I was thinking about how I would organize it if it goes underneath one palette, how I would organize it taking into account the other palettes that were underneath. So now I'm gonna do a recount of what I just did, and I'm gonna tell you my favorite and my least favorite, but they are all favorites. To be honest, Natasha Denona shadows, if you have been on my channel, watching my channel for the past 6 months or a year, I've been just obsessed with them, and I always put them in project progresses. I have been thinking about decluttering more eyeshadows because I love these ones so much. The formula is so mind-blowing that I don't want to settle for anything less. So yeah, let's do the recount. So the number 1 It's the Natasha Denona Sunrise for sure. This is just a beautiful palette and I'm happy that I got it. And I feel Natasha Denona should come up with more 15 shadows on this size. I think it's a wonderful size. Then the next one, it's the Viva palette, which I thought was gonna be my favorite. So this video was an eye-opener. But this is a palette that I would highly recommend. And the last one for my top 3, it's the gold palette. And this is just a stunning palette for nighttime. It says going out to me. That's the thing about this palette. Even though you can do daily looks with it, it calls me to go out and it makes me feel super fancy when I use it. The other two are realistic. This one is when I want to be a fashionista or when I want to be a blogger or when I want to be something else. This is my fantasy self type of palette, but a fantasy self that I actually take out from time to time. Then this one is the same as the gold, but I could use it on the daily because of the color scheme. It's the cranberry palette and I'm in love with it and I'm super happy that they made it permanent. So this has the 4th place. Then another one that's part of my top 5 and it's a tropic palette. And I know that this gets a lot of hate because of the formula of the pops of color. And the people say that these colors are neutral and they're basic and whatever. That's what I love about them. So that's why I love this palette so much because most of the shades are everyday shades. A little peachy, a little pinky, a little lilac-y, a little reddish tones. So that's why I love it. And I do pops of color from time to time, but that's all they are, pops of color. They're not making the entire look. So if they do not perform incredible while using them on my entire lid, I don't mind because I always use them just as a pop of color. So this is a beautiful palette and this shade I would use a lot for a pop of color, and this is the best performing shade of the ones underneath. So yeah, this is the last one for my top 5. And then the last 5 that I have, and when I see them, they bring joy, but they never bring the amount of joy that the other 5 do. This is the Sunset palette, and one of the things that I don't like about it is the white color. This white doesn't inspire me to do anything, and the lack of transition shades, lighter transition shades that you can find on the Tropic or the gold one. For the Aries palette, even though I adore it, it's just nothing that I would prefer over the ones that I mentioned. The blue is mind-blowing, the topper here is amazing, and the nude one as well, but it's a 5-pan palette that I won't use every day. Maybe I could do a challenge for that and maybe use it for my last tutorial for tomorrow's video, but it's not a palette that I love for every day. And then the Natasha Denona Safari palette. It's a bunch of mattes. I love them. They're wearable. They're beautiful. This is a good companion palette for all of my Natasha Denona, the other palettes that I own, but it's definitely not my favorite. And the fact that it has a fail in the formula of Fata Morgana and the other ones, they are not failing, then this is not my favorite for that. And I sort of need a little bit of metallics on my life. I'm not an all matte type of person, but I love the color scheme and I love the inspiration that it gives you with the color scheme. I think that's just, it blows my mind. The color scheme of that palette, it's inspiring. Then the Natasha Denona Green Brown palette, and this was so low on my radar even after I got it that I was just forgetting about it. Since I did my Frankie palette, I want to pull a lot of the shades out to put on that palette and play with them more, because maybe it's overwhelming the amount of greens that it has. Remove the greens, it has a lot of browns and I love them. And these metallic silver shadow, it's crazy how beautiful it is. And I never use it because it's on this palette. So let me focus. It's so highly metallic and pretty, and I never use it because it's hidden on this palette. So I'm gonna pick out a few of these shades and I'm gonna put them on the Frankie Natasha Denona palette. But this is good, it's just that I haven't played with it long enough. It's the truth. I used to use it, but the greens were just, maybe I need to do a green project and see if I can just use them more and fall in love with them, or see if they're definitely not my thing. And then the last one is this one. And this one, I don't think these reddish tones are as high performance as they should be, like the ones on the Cranberry palette. This one is amazing, but this one is sort of dry. It always has been. So it's a little bit harder to work with. And then the yellow gold doesn't call my name. And then the fact that it's a 5 pan palette and 2 of the shades I don't love and the other 3 I do, it just is not worth it for me. So this is my least favorite. But even this one has the peachy pink shade that I adore and that I'm about to hit pan on. I love that shade, I truly do. So yeah, and that's on my Frankie palette. So yeah, this is the last one. So this is the number 10. So I have 10 Natasha Denona shadows, and that was my rating of them. So I would love for you guys to leave below which one of your Natasha Denona shadows is your favorite. So if you have 10, just rank them below so that I can see which one is your favorite and the top 3 and the top 5. Or if you only have one and you adore it, just let me know in the comments below. I would love to know that. I'm just nosy that way. And that's it for this video, you guys. For the emoji, just leave a number, the number of Natasha Denona shadows that you have. And if you don't have any, just name the one that you want to get the most. You're truly, in a way, missing out if you don't have a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. But if you don't have it and you're going to know by year, don't get them. And if you don't have the budget for them, don't get them, because they are worth it, but it is not worth it to get into debt for them. And that's it for this video, you guys. If you want to see more on one of these eyeshadow palettes, or if you're bored and you don't want to see any more Natasha Denona, and maybe we can do an ABH or Anastasia Beverly Hills type of week, let me know in the comments below, guys. So I've been super happy doing this. It's been hard work, but I love it. Even though I don't get the views that everyone gets, like thousands of views, I love doing YouTube videos, and I'm happy every day that I have to film and edit, even though editing is not my favorite thing to do. I love to see the comments that you guys leave below. You guys are always so kind and so wonderful, and I'm happy that you are subscribed to my channel. So that's it, you guys. Leave the number below, leave the ranking below, and I guess I'll see you on I guess I'll see you tomorrow for my last video for the Natasha Denona week. Bye bye.